If this episode resonated, please share it with another mum who might need it. Follow us on socials at Burnt Out Mummas.
Check out our journey and we will help you to reconnect with yourself again. Please subscribe and download to all our episodes. It helps us a ton and keeps this podcast going.
Thanks.
Bye. Hello, mamas. Welcome back to the Burnt Out Mumma podcast, the podcast where mums say what everybody else is thinking.
And today's episode is such a good one because we're joined by Dominika, the founder of Two Tired Mums and the new children's skincare brand, Rayro.
They've built an amazing online platform talking honestly about motherhood, work, childcare pressure, mental load, and the systems that generally make mums feel exhausted.
And now they're launching a brand inspired by real parenting life. So we're diving into business, burnt out motherhood, and how they turn frustration into something positive. So we also, there's two of you, isn't there, Dominika? There's Elsie as well, but she couldn't make it today.
A few technical issues. We were wondering if we were going to get you guys on today. So we're all tired. So hello, two tired mums. Although we're talking to one.
Honestly, I'm tired enough for two people, so it still fits.
I love it. It's not very similar, but we're burnt out mummas. You're two tired mums, so I just love it. How did you go about sort of founding what you're doing and getting into skincare?
So we have been, Elsie and I have been entrepreneurs for over a decade. We actually met working together in sales. And way back when blogs were a thing, we started our blog Clean Beauty. And that was the start of our entrepreneurial journey. We were still working full time in our sales roles. But basically we loved beauty and it was in the moment of everything wellness. Think like Deliciously Ella for the skin. So we decided to start making skincare recipes using food, and we were posting them online. Instagram was very nascent at that time, so it was all about the like beautiful flat lay. So we were just posting on Instagram and posting these recipes on our blog, and it just picked up a lot of traction. It was really of the moment. A lot of people were looking for natural and simpler kind of beauty products, often ones they could make themselves. It was a kind of trend at the time. So we really spearheaded that in the UK. And we built a large platform. So we had events running, we had our blog, we had our Instagram, and then we also had a book published by Penguin. And this was all under the kind of heading of Clean Beauty. So that was our brand. People just kept asking us, could they buy some products for us rather than make it themselves, which seemed like an obvious next step. So we ended up launching a skincare brand in 2017 called Bibi Beauty. And we scaled that to a large size. So we were stocked in over 3,000 doors globally with the likes of Boots, Target, Holland & Barrett, Sephora. We raised £10 million of venture capital funding alongside the growth of that business. And it was quite a wild ride. We had 2 children each over the period of running that business. And quite frankly, we were quite burnt out by the end of it. We were definitely burnt out mamas when it came to 2023, 2024, when we were both postpartum, small babies, heavily pregnant, and we were just like, we actually can't do this anymore. It was just too much for 2 people to carry. So we decided to sell the business, and we successfully did that in mid-2024, and we sold it to the founding team of Revolution Beauty. So yeah, great outcome for us. We were super pleased. We thought we were going to stay on, but as often these things are, the synergies weren't quite there, like post-acquisition. So we ended up leaving the business kind of early 2025. That whole experience for us, from kind of starting so kind of humbly as a blog and then scaling this global business, all the while being, women, mothers, it taught us a lot about the working world and how it wasn't really set up for mothers, and entrepreneurship, even this kind of hustle culture, just not set up for mums. So that's really why we started our platform, Two Tired Mums. And we did that, basically as we were exiting the brand, because we just felt like there wasn't a platform speaking honestly about how do you actually juggle ambition and motherhood? And ambition comes in so many different forms, right? It doesn't mean that you have to go off and do our journey of raising venture capital and scaling a brand. You can be ambitious in a corporate job. You can be ambitious in a part-time job or a contract role. So we just wanted to make sure that, yeah, we were able to give a platform to giving like real advice, real experiences, and making sure that, yeah, our story could be heard and inspire other people to do the same.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, it's
Yeah, I think
amazing.
yeah, I think I love what
This
you've
new
done.
brand
You've got this new
and
brand
it's really
and
fantastic.
it's
The
really
branded
fantastic.
itself
It
speaks
speaks
a
a
lot and
lot.
it's
Speaks
great.
a lot and it's great.
Yeah.
And how did you go
And
about
how did
defining
you go
it?
about defining it?
So Rayro came about, I guess, as part of this journey. So we started talking to lots of women entrepreneurs, mothers that were thinking about starting businesses. And I guess we kind of just got inspired. We had a lot of ideas and we just thought, actually, maybe our entrepreneurial journey isn't over. And we actually felt like we wanted to get back in the seat of running a brand and being a founder. And this idea for Rayro had been spinning around for many years. We were originally going to launch it under our skincare brand, but then we decided it just made so much sense to be its own kind of identity. And the whole premise of Rayro is that motherhood and caring for children is really difficult, right? And it goes from like the big things right through to the small things of like, can you just brush your teeth or will you just eat your vegetables? And there's always a battle and it feels really tiring when your day to day is just battle after battle after battle. So we thought if there's any way that we could help carers, parents, mothers, basically alleviate those day-to-day battles and create products that kids actually want to use. So you're not forcing them to use a product that doesn't appeal to them from its look and feel. It feels sticky, it feels yucky, they don't want it on their skin. Let's create something that actually engages them in the process. So we've started with moisturizers because, again, trying to apply cream to a 2-year-old, like, you guys have kids, I'm sure you empathize. As soon as they see that like white liquid, they're like, no thanks. So the products literally look like toys. They can apply it themselves. It's mess free. It's great ingredients that actually have an effect on the skin if it's drying, if they've got, chest cough. It's always great to have those kind of eucalyptus kind of decongestants. And then we have a sleep one as well with magnesium and lavender. So that's where we've started, but we've got a lot of exciting things coming up, including an SPF range as well. So we're launching sun care early next year.
Very cool. Very cool. Aim
of
that they
it.
can do. That they
Yeah,
can do.
and it just looks like toys. When you look at the kids market,
Yeah.
stuff isn't very fun, right? Like, a lot of it is like very beige and like very beautiful, but kids don't care about that. Kids just want silliness and color and something that seems exciting to them. So that's very intentional with the brand. It looks like a toy brand.
Yes. Yes. Mums today trying to juggle
Businesses, trying to set
businesses,
up problems for
trying to set up. Do you
themselves
feel?
that
Do you feel that they're more burnt out more than the
Yeah, absolutely, because the village no longer exists, right? In, 20, 30 years ago, the generation above us often had significant amount of family and more disposable income to be able to lean into that village. And, that village can be anything that a person needs, whether it's childcare, whether it's cleaning, whether it's holidays, whatever that kind of support network is, it just basically no longer exists because parents and families can't afford those luxuries. Well, they're not even luxuries, they're really necessities in order to be able to live a kind of fulfilled life, balancing work and family. And we feel it all the time. We're stretched, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of guilt, and we don't have bosses, right? We're our own bosses, but we still feel when there's something that comes up with the kids and we have to prioritize them, there's always an immediate guilt factor. And obviously, as being the mums, we are the first port of call by nature. So it's the nursery, it's the school, it's the illness, it's whatever the issue is, it's the doctor's appointments. We're always the ones often taking the load of that. So it's a challenging time, I think, for parents. And yeah, as I said, a lot of the tools and the support networks that we thought we could rely on or previously could are just no longer available to us. And I'd say that's mainly down to cost. The cost of things are just crazy these days and we can't keep up.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
did you used to work? Did you used to work? And And
Was
was
the
the point you
was
sort of
the
want to start a own business?
Yeah, I did. I did work in corporate. Well, I kind of always worked in startups, but Elsie, for example, she worked in Apple and Facebook, so she was in very, very corporate environments. I'd just preface that by saying we didn't have children when we worked in those jobs, so our experience of kind of corporate and navigating that culture was quite different. We were kind of in our mid-20s, but I think for us, the pivot from being in a full-time job to moving into entrepreneurship was a combination of a kind of push and pull factor of we had a great idea. It was organically generating momentum, and we felt like we wouldn't be doing it a service if we kind of didn't give it our all. And then secondly, in sales, it becomes very samey. Um, you kind of end up having the same conversations and the same kind of roles and jobs over and over again. And I think we just felt like we could be challenged more if we went a different route. And we were always very rational about it. I guess, we were both very honest with each other financially about what our savings were, what was our financial runway in order to give the business a chance to grow. We couldn't take a salary from day one. There wasn't enough money in the business at that point. So like, where did we agree that would be a thing? How long could we last? And what were our overall expectations? Did we want to shoot for the moon? Did we want to make this a really, really steady, profitable business where we could take a wage every month? Like, these are the conversations that we had to have with each other, but ultimately everyone should have, even with themselves, to understand the financial implications of pivoting from corporate into freelance or entrepreneurship. Because without the financial security, it can become really stressful, and it may not work because you're making decisions based on short-term financial income, whereas you should be trying to be building, whichever route you take, kind of a sustainable foundation of a business. So I think those are the conversations that we had very early on. But I think the idea was the big pull. It's like we had built a successful kind of community around natural beauty. We had an obvious way to monetize it. Like, it seems like a good opportunity that we couldn't turn down.
I think that's
It's a
I
thing
think
for
that's
some
it's
people,
a
isn't
thing
it?
for
When
some
you
people,
start
isn't
a
it? When
business,
you
the
start
fear
a
of
business,
how
the
much
fear
money
of
you're going to
how
earn,
much money
and
you earn and
time, and
and
actually
it
this
becomes a
time,
little
and actually more of a challenge
becomes a
for your
little bit more of a
children.
challenge for
Yeah.
your
But I love
children.
the way how
But
you said
I
it
look at whether
started
how you said
naturally
it
when
started
you just,
naturally when you just,
I think it's natural
I
growth,
think
and I think natural growth
sometimes
sometimes
that
that's
is
the key of a
sometimes the
business, isn't it?
key
Of
of a
letting
business,
it
isn't
grow
it? Of
naturally.
letting it grow naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. Because always you're trying to find an audience for what you're trying to sell, whether that's your time, a service, a product, a brand, a community. You want to make sure that customer is there before you kind of take the leap and you try and sell them anything, or certainly invest anything heavily into developing that offering. So I think the great thing about kind of where we sit in 2026 is there's so many ways to build those audiences and test them before you sell them anything. And I was just talking about our workbook on Two Tired Mums, which, we've been working on for 6 months. But alongside that, we've been building a really engaged community. And we've been able to do that without having the pressure of trying to monetize it in any way. We've just been fostering and nurturing that community. And now we're going to say to them, hey, guys, we have this product to sell you. If you want it, great. If you don't, no worries. You can still kind of engage and be part of our community. But if you want to take things a step further, here's something that you can buy. And I think that's a great way to build relationships with customers. You give them a lot of value before you then ask them to exchange money for what you're trying to sell. And it's kind of a system that we've used quite a few times now. We did it with our blog, so we had content and value there. Then we converted it into a skincare brand and products people could buy. We started with Two Tired Mums, and we launched a kids brand, and now we're launching a kind of manual for mums as well. So that community first approach has always been the way that we've scaled our businesses as well.
Yeah. Really similar
Yeah,
similar to content with content with the podcast. This is going we've been formulation and brand in the background, brand in the background. So it's just through the right
just through the website, so releasing that. Yeah, you have to. You have to say, look, we will kind of say, look, we pay for our this, we pay for our time. It takes time.
Yeah, absolutely. And a podcast, yeah, again, it's delivering such value for people. So if there's any way that you know, and again, sitting where we are in 2026, there's so many ways to do content, right? You can write it on Substack, you can create carousels and videos and reels on social media, you can do podcasts, you can do YouTube. There's so many different ways to create content. So it's about finding your style and what works for you in terms of feeling comfortable and ultimately committing to generating it. It's a lot of work, like, you know, managing a few social media accounts plus everything is like, it's a full-time job in itself. So it's really important that you choose the medium that works for you and your working style and your communication style. But yeah, it's a great way to basically test your audience before you have to commit to anything, before you have to commit to a stock order or quitting your job, or, you know, it's just a great way to build that community and test your idea before you have to commit to anything.
Can I ask?
It's
been more
but with your
beautygram before,
BYB you said.
what was
What was the
baseline?
you
Just
just like
literally can't do this.
we just literally
How
can't
big
do
would
this?
it get?
How big did it get?
I mean, it was 8 figures in turnover, as I said, like stocked in 27 countries. Like, it was a big business. I think there were two things going on with Bibi. One, we had very young children, and
Yeah.
we found the kind of office
Yeah.
culture that ironically we had set up for ourselves. Like, we had created this culture, but we created it before we had children.
Yeah.
We felt a lot of
Yeah.
pressure. We felt like the team possibly didn't respect the fact that we had to leave early for nursery pickup, or that we had to work from home certain days. Like, we hadn't instilled that culture from day one, and it caused us a lot of stress and pressure trying to be visible to a team where ultimately, like, we set the culture. We should have just stepped in and changed it. But it was really difficult because the business had already been quite mature at that point and been running for kind of 7 or 8 years. So there was that angle of like, we didn't really want to have the responsibility of a massive team anymore. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of face time, which you can't really avoid. And then secondly, we were on a venture capital funding route, which meant that we were basically fundraising every year. We kept running out of cash. We were on a high growth trajectory. You know, we scaled the business globally. We launched into Target, I think, when the business was like 5 years old. It was in the middle of COVID. We had to build a team in the US. And ultimately, we just didn't want to be on that roller coaster anymore. We just kept running out of money, having to go back to market. We were heavily diluted at that point. The whole kind of, you know, the journey of the business, we felt just didn't suit our ambitions anymore. And we thought we would try and sell it, you know, at a time when we could kind of exit on our terms. So,
And that's so both of you it really came to that where
agreement
nice.
where
It's nice. It seems like
both
being
your
quite
journey
aligned.
quite
Yes.
aligned.
So that's it's a bit more comforting.
It's a bit more comforting
to know that someone's had that same vision of like have that journey of like I feel like this is the end of the chapter.
The end of the
Start a
chapter.
new
Start a new
I think it's fantastic what you've done and
what you've done and
what you're
into products that you've just launched.
Can I ask? Can I ask about the ingredients? Products? How ingredients? How your children? How you've made them? How you've made
yeah,
them?
that's such a good question. And I think, like, we come from an interesting background of having run a natural skincare brand. So it made sense for us to continue the same philosophies that we believe in, right, from a formulation perspective, but even more so when you're looking at young kids and their skin and what's safe and what you feel is really beneficial for their skin and what they need. So the products are natural, they're vegan. We work with an incredible female owned manufacturing business in the UK who formulates and produces our products for us. We know that the love and the thoughtfulness that has gone into those formulations. And Elsie and I have been very instrumental in choosing the ingredients and the benefits. So for those with sensitive skins, I have to be very careful about what I say from a claims perspective, but it's great if your children may suffer from things like eczema, psoriasis, dry skin, sensitivity. And that is, that kind of natural, but works, safe, will be the kind of basis of all the formulas going forward. And that's been quite interesting for like the SPFs, for example. So we've got a sun care range coming out. We've been thinking obviously about sun protection, but also in tandem with that, things like anti-pollution protection, because our kids are exposed to so much pollution when they're outside. So yes, they need SPF care, but they also need pollution care as well to protect their skin. So finding ways to do that naturally has been exciting and interesting.
Very exciting. I mean, I'm exciting because I like nice, like as nice as you can be for your children. It's as well. It's crime as well. It's crime things.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you stay authentic online?
Yeah. Oh God, the word authentic.
I know. Brands, it's so hard in this day and age.
I think for us it's quite funny because there's like a big founder culture at the moment, right? Of all these people that have their own businesses. They go online and they share all their stories and they're like crying on the phone, and you see everything, and it's this like really transparent culture of like, this is how I'm building my business. You get to see everything, all my mistakes. And we're kind of the opposite of that, because we're not chaotic like young founders, right? We're quite measured, we're quite experienced, we're quite focused. So our founder content like isn't that like clickbaity, it's not like, oh my God, I had a Boots order and I messed the whole thing up, and like if we got a Boots order, like we know how to make it work. Do you know what I mean? So like we did a post recently that was literally like, are we the most boring founders on the internet? Like, we don't cry on our socials. So there's like an element of that, right? Like, we're quite genuine in that, like, we're not a mess. We're not a hot mess. Like, we're quite focused and we're quite experienced. I think the things that we're very authentic about is, the parts of our journey that we, upon reflection, like, didn't sit right with us or, didn't work. We have, if you look through our content, there's a lot of, things that have been said to us, the way that we've been treated, obviously the motherhood mental load, we talk about a lot, and we're very like honest about the struggles that we find trying to juggle those things, and maybe where we don't feel like we've got our own village and support. And then we share a lot of stories because of the nature of our content. We get so many women contacting us saying, I've never seen this kind of content before. It resonates with me so much. I was pushed out of a job when I was pregnant. I was denied a promotion. I've not had a pay rise in X amount of years. I don't know what to do. I feel really frustrated, but I'm still ambitious. These are all the kind of things that we get told a lot. So again, just like giving back to those women that share with us and just trying to find ways not to inspire them, but actually just give them useful things to help them save time, to give them motivation, to have those difficult conversations at work, know what their legal rights are. These are the kind of things that we want to talk about. And I feel like that is very authentic to us. It's the things that we feel passionate about, and it's the things that we care about. And we're not creating content or intentionally provocative content just for clicks. If we create something provocative, it's because we feel really strongly that message needs to be shared. So that does feel very authentic. And my only advice for being authentic online is that you don't need to cry to be authentic. You can be eloquent and professional online, But as long as you're promoting things that genuinely you care about and you feel passionately about, your authenticism will always come through your content. And that's the most important thing. If you're trying to push something you don't really care about or believe in, that's where you can tell that people, you know, that the content isn't coming from a genuine place. So
how did you find it? How did you find it as with the investors? With the investors, trying to do business, trying to do business, being mum as well.
yeah, I would say it's a mix. Like, we had a lot of really supportive investors. I think what ends up happening is there's just an unconscious bias that starts to emerge in those relationships when you've got a male investor and a female entrepreneur. And I think with the best will in the world, even the ones that really, I guess, would consider themselves very friendly towards female entrepreneurs, you can see those slips of unconscious kind of sexism in the way that they would speak to us, or things they would say to us, or the way that they would frame things. Like, you just know that they would never say that to a man. You know that they would never ask a man how much they're being paid, like on a constant basis, or constantly challenging how much you're being paid. That was one of the things that we kept coming up against. You know, you pay yourself too much. You pay yourself too much. We weren't paying ourselves too much, I can assure you. So it's, you know, I think on the whole, it's something that we managed, but I would say that we still were on the receiving end of quite a lot of, you know, challenging comments and assumptions being made about us, or stereotypes being forced upon us. So yeah, I think, and I don't know what the answer is, right? Like, we should have gone to find maybe more female investors, but there's not many. Yeah, I don't know how to change that dynamic, apart from more women need to run businesses and be successful in order to change this mentality of women don't know or understand money. Women can't be confident, or it's always seen as aggressive. Like, these things that, you know, are stereotypes that are put on women in business. I think all we can do is just have more women in business to be able to shift that narrative. I don't honestly, apart from that, know what the answer is.
And I feel like women is and more women. What we talked about, I think what we talked about at the beginning, there's not enough support for mums and women to do that. And we really can multiply things done. Get more amounts of
and when that's what leads to burnout.
Yes. Absolutely, because the you know, the working world is not set up for the way that we need things structured, which is flexibility, which is multitasking, which is output, not input measured. All of these things need to change in order for women really to be able to thrive in the workplace. And that's why, you know, self-employment, freelance, entrepreneurship is so attractive for working mothers, because it gives them that autonomy over their time, and it's output based. So I think we'll see, now that it's the barriers to going freelance are a lot lower, I think we'll see a lot of women post having children moving into a more flexible career, or what we call a portfolio career, which is what we have, right? So we have a business, we have a content creation, we do consultancy, we do public speaking, and suddenly we have like multiple forms of income that we can manage around our own schedules. And we are true kind of owners of our portfolio career. So I think, again, you'll see a lot of women moving out of the 9 to 5 and having multiple forms of income. And I think, you know, like TikTok is an amazing example of how women can take ownership over those income streams, right? Either through content creation, UGC, or TikTok shop affiliate selling. Like, incredible. There's so many successful mothers on those platforms generating significant amount of money because they've taken that leap. So I think those kind of platforms have been incredible innovation for working mothers.
Yeah. I think it's that jump as well. I think it's that jump as well. It's not that on the talks, like that on the
persuade women
really
to take that
daunting,
jump. It's
especially
really
daunting,
daunting,
especially
especially
how
having
still,
yeah, it's still,
and I feel
yeah,
and I feel
when
when
you
you
got
can
that
do it
strength, when you
quietly.
can do it
What's one
quietly.
thing you wish
What's
every
one
mum
thing you
knew
wish every
that
mum
you may
knew
have been
that you may have
Oh
been
God, that's a
through?
loaded question. I think like for me, the thing that women just generally lack is a sense of confidence around finance. And it's understandable because in school we're not really taught it. Our fathers probably didn't talk to us about money. We never were kind of, pushed to have the lemonade stand outside the house like the boys were. Women just fundamentally aren't taught financial literacy as a social norm. And what happens is that when it comes to taking that leap, a lot of women feel frightened because they don't understand money and they don't understand taxes and they don't understand how to set up a limited company and do things correctly and invoice correctly and what's VAT and all of these things, which are not difficult to understand. It's just that men were taught it as a norm and women weren't. So I think if there's one piece of advice that I would give is that just educate yourself on the finance of your own situation. So don't leave the budgeting and the mortgage and the bills to your partner. You should be as involved in the family and household financials as your partner. And then secondly, for your own income, wrap your hands around it. Don't outsource it to an accountant and then dig your head in the sand and say, I don't know about my taxes. I don't understand, when my accounts are filed. It's not that difficult. It's just a process of education. So that's the number one thing I would say, because financial literacy equals confidence. And confidence is really the thing that you need to take the leap at the end of the day. The fear and the lack of confidence will hold you back. And it's if you always dig down to it, it always comes to the numbers.
Yeah. With everything. Gives you freedom.
Yeah,
Gives you freedom.
Exactly. And it gives you freedom from, being able to run your family and your life in the way that you want, to stay in relationships that you want in order to, run your life in the way that you want. So financial literacy and income is really important for women. But a lot of women are scared off by it.
True. True.
True.
I really love we've got
we've got
for you.
questions
To
for
wrap up,
you.
to wrap up our side. Hopefully good high.
Yeah, of course.
On a good high. So, would you prefer coffee or sleep?
It's a good question. Probably sleep, I think.
Yeah, I think it's obviously
Yeah.
Motherhood survival hack.
Motherhood survival hack is a good one. You know what? I think like having a good like LLM, like a chat GPT, a Claude, like whatever you want to use. Like, oh my God, the amount of things that you can do as a mum, like take a picture of your fridge and say to chat GPT, like, what should I make for dinner? And it will just look at all the ingredients and tell you. Like,
do you know
like, hey, I need to go on holiday. I've got this budget. I've got this many people. I want to travel this far. Can you sort it all out for me? Like, oh my God, that is like revolutionary for mums. So yeah, if you're not embracing AI, like I have a love-hate, like fear, is the world going to end with AI? But ultimately it's here, and if it can give us advantages as mothers, we have to embrace it. So yeah, I would say just jump on AI to save you loads of time. Loads and loads of time.
I should do this one. First came out for women. If you're on time,
Exactly.
I just realised that.
Love it. What's something you've stopped feeling guilty about?
I mean, I don't know if the guilt will ever go. I think like I always revert back to like I'm doing my best. I don't think I've ever entered a day, trying to juggle anything, thinking that I'm just gonna do a crap job. Like everyone's always trying their best, and that's, I think, often goes for your partners as well. It's so easy to have like a lot of frustration and resentment towards your partner if you feel like you're carrying the load, but often if you drill down into it, they're also trying their best. So I think that's what I try and revert back to whenever I feel like I'm not doing a good job or I'm failing. It's not me, it's the system, and I am just trying my best.
No, you really are. And
No, you
like
really are.
finishing off, what
Like
is next
finishing
for
off, what
Rowan?
is next
Something
for
real
Rowan?
exciting.
Something real
To
exciting.
some
To
little what
some
the
little
amazing
what
stuff that you've
the
done
amazing
and
stuff
you're
that you've
proceeding
done
to
and
do.
you're proceeding to
Your
do.
company kind of
Your company very
stuff.
tell us
Or
the
what you
exciting
can
stuff.
tell us. Or what you
Yes.
can tell us.
So the next range of products that we're launching is in September, and it's going to be about hand washing. So I'll give you, that's like a sneak peek, but yeah, hand washing for me in my house is a battle.
Yeah,
No one
same.
ever wants to do it.
Yeah,
I don't know
same.
why. So we're trying to find a fun way for kids to want to wash their hands.
Fantastic. Oh,
fantastic.
Oh, it's so
We're so
exciting.
excited. We're so excited to see
And
the
can
journey.
and
Can
your social and
your
how
social
find
and
you?
how
Yes.
find you?
So we are two tired mums, literally and figuratively. So our handles are two tired mums across TikTok and Instagram. And then our brand is called Rayro. And
It's amazing.
Thank you. Right. Thank you for coming on and watching you on social.
Yeah, such an amazing conversation, and it's such a nice reminder for mums, and like imagining how hard things are, and you're just a very big inspiration to give to mothers that are listening, and who want to take that leap. So yeah, thank you for your time, and we're very excited to use some of your products as well on our children. Thank you. Have a lovely Friday. Bye.
If you're loving the show, don't forget to download our latest episodes. It helps us a ton by boosting the show and making sure more people find us.
Plus, you can listen anytime, anywhere, even offline.
And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on Spotify so you never miss a new drop.
Want even more behind the scenes content? Follow us on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok at Burnt Out Mummas, one word, for exclusive clips, updates and fun extras.
Hit that follow button, send us a message, and let's keep the Burnt Out Mummas community going.